Yul Brynner is Swedish for Christmas is burning. Now, you might have noticed that in the past, we've already won the first part of the culture war. The men are gone. So I think it's time to move on to step 2, which is the war on Christmas. We're actually traveling from planet to planet, seeking out Santa, and we're just going to burn him out.
Hello everyone, we are back. We're finally back.
Yes, it's been a little over a week.
Yeah.
I mean, watching us and Tom live on stream. Yep. I think if you've been playing, it's the updates and the have been coming fast.
Yep.
Because that's the name of the first patch.
Velociraptor fast.
Exactly. So we have Tom all the way over in Delft, over the internet.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing fine. Actually, I got some bad news. Just before I came on stream, my cat has been in an accident. Is at the vet's, drugged to the nines, having its ear stitched.
Oh.
But apart from that, I'm fine. But if you guys could think about Spooky the cat, who my poor fiance had to like run him over to the vet. He's probably going to be okay. He's probably just got into a fight with the cat. He does it all the time. But apart from that, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, but we should have that in the back of our mind if some of these strategic options that are presented
I might be distracted because I'm thinking about my cat.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Jimmy,
yes.
This stream is called Big Builds or Build.
It's big builds, I'm sure.
Yes, we haven't.
So we had like been talking about it for what, like almost a week now.
Yes.
Yeah. With
yes,
the
we
idea
have.
of this, yeah. And at first I think it was build big.
Yeah.
And then it was big builds, and then it's been build big again. So
yes.
Yeah.
It's been very confusing, but
it's fine.
Yeah. I think the most important part is what the heck do we mean?
Okay, so what we want to do today is we want to show off cool builds.
Yes.
So Tom has provided us with a setup for a build, and and he's gonna go through it with us.
Yeah, essentially, Tom is just going to be here being knowledgeable, and me and Jimmy are just going to sit here and try and pretend that we understand everything that you say, Tom.
Absorb my knowledge.
Exactly.
Yes.
We're the sponge. We're knowledge sponges looking for more knowledge to, you know.
Yes.
Get into our spongy bodies. Basically, we're going to look at a commander customization.
Yep.
Then some early stuff, maybe an early fight, and then a mid game, and try and talk about so how do you evolve this build?
Yeah.
So, Tom, what are we doing?
Right. Well, what we're going to do is we are going to be playing Amazon Promethean. Okay. Let's click here. Should we? Off.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So so the first couple of turns we're actually going to just simply start a game at random. So you'll have to forgive me if I sort of spaz out a bit because I'm not actually going to know. Normally when we do this, we kind of hack everything together, but this is actually going to be a random map. So Anyway, first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the world threat level up to moderate. We've actually renamed this. It used to be moderate, severe, and extreme. Now it's low, moderate, and extreme. The reason we're doing that is because the game was actually originally balanced to be played on the middle threat level, but we turned it down because we were worried it would be too difficult for people. But this is like, the official way it's meant to be played.
Yeah, so at this point, we've already tricked people. They've started playing, and now we're just changing the names of things so they know.
The thing was, we actually made a mistake. It was always intended that people would realize that moderate or severe, as it used to be called, was the intended way. But because we changed the name, we were worried that people were getting a bit confused. Anyway, so first thing we're going to have to do is make our leader. We are going to be playing Amazon. Oh, it's already there. Promethean. And the reason, this isn't actually a thematically very appropriate build. The Amazons tend to be all about growing trees, forests, looking after the planet, whereas Promethean just tends to set stuff on fire. Yep. However, in terms of game mechanics, they actually work together very well. Because they have the lasers weapon group, and the lasers weapon group can be used to set people on fire. And Promethean have an awful lot of bonuses against people who have been set on fire. So that is our general... That's sort of like the core idea behind everything we're going to do. Now, the other thing we want to do is our perks. Now, I've been reading a lot of it online. A lot of people have been going on about the Kleptomaniac perk being the best, the most OP perk. This build isn't all about, we're going to be using a lot of operations. We're going to be doing a lot of research. I really do not want to lose 10 energy a turn because I will go broke. Also, there's a lot of mods used, and the random mod I get from Kleptomaniac might be totally useless to me. So I'm actually going to take...
No, I was going to say I'm not a fan of the random mod. The same with the early, you can get unlocked to early random text.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's nice if you get something you want, right? But I never trust it if I'm tryharding, because I'm like, I'm going to get aquatic deployment, and then I'm going to be landlocked.
Okay, well, you're going to be disappointed in me then. But anyway, so we're actually going to take Decadent. Now, the reason we're taking Decadent, it sounds like a big penalty, 10% food production, but the Amazons are very good at producing food, doesn't matter. And my build involves getting really up into the face of the enemy. So the 10 extra hit points on my leader at the beginning are very important. Now, this build is called the Yul Brynner Build. It is named after the famous 70s actor. He played in many famous cowboys. He was in the Magnificent Seven. He was the big scary killer robot in Westworld. And because of that, we're going to need the assault bike, which some idiot on the internet said was actually a downgrade from loadout for Amazons. But we're going to prove them wrong. We're going to ride into battle, singing glorious songs of death and justice.
And now,
okay. Then another thing everybody goes for, martial tradition is an extremely, extremely popular choice for people, mainly because Ruthless Killer is absurdly strong. However, Ruthless Killer only actually affects your leader. So, any fight your leader is not in, Ruthless Killer is wasted. And in this particular build, what we're really interested in is Promethean tech. The weapon tech bonus isn't really that useful for us. We only need like 2 of them. So we're going to take Star Union Scholar. This makes all of our secret tech, all of our Promethean tech cheaper. And as a bonus, the curator thing means every time I kill somebody on the world map, clear a site on the world map, I will get more rewards from it, and that does actually stack up quite fast. You can get huge amounts of extra money.
Yep.
Okay. And despite what Anta said, we're going to take data repository. And the reason we're going to take data repository is that this build is extremely research heavy. The basic goal is for us to research a bunch of texts as quickly as possible. And if data repository can give us those texts, then
we're going to get aquatic deployment. Like, it's going to happen.
Deployment is pretty much the only tech it can give me, which is useless.
Yeah. Okay, well,
everything else
find out.
I can make use of. Aquatic deployment is, if we're on the water map, then aquatic deployment is useful. Anyway.
I'm sure.
So this is the basic choice. So data repository is going to give us 2 free skills, and hopefully will guide us to where we're going. And this is our leader. Essentially, we had to go through so much hassle to make sure that this DLC.
Oh, it doesn't, because we're not logged in.
Oh no.
We're not logged in, so we don't have access to the cowboy hat.
You're not logged in, you fools.
Here's what we can do, though. If you really want to, we can save the commander and log in, and then.
No, we have to. Otherwise, the save won't load, will it? Because the save is using the hat.
You still have access to it, though, even though you're not logged in, because you can see other.
You've got to imagine that this is a cowboy hat, guys.
I'm really annoyed because we did spend a lot of time figuring out how to get the cowboy hat.
So yeah, you guys just imagine that this is actually a cowboy hat. It's not.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
it
is going to be soon.
But don't worry, in the save, right? In the save, she's got the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it should still work in the save.
Yeah, and I've tried really hard, and this is the closest.
I saw the cowboy hat when we were trying it out earlier, so it's fun.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. Anyway, and this is the closest I could get to a flame eye. But anyway,
Droy RC says ruined.
Our character here.
Well, I would argue that we burned it to the ground.
Indeed. Now, notice I've misspelled the name, and that is because by sheer chance, Yul Brynner is Swedish for Christmas is burning. Now. You might have noticed that in the past, we've already won the first part of the culture war. The men are gone. So I think it's time to move on to step 2, which is the war on Christmas. We're actually traveling from planet to planet, seeking out Santa, and we're just going to burn him out. Wherever we find him, that's it. Christmas is gone. We're just going to replace it with the word holiday. And we're going to smirk at you whilst we say it like happy holiday.
Oh, this thing has freaking 60% water.
Oh, is it? See? So now if we get aquatic deployment, everything will be fine. Okay, so go in.
I'm
So what we're going to get always the exciting part. We're moving next to a water sector. Okay.
So Space Panzer says, burning Christmas, she's from Gävle then.
That's a funny joke if you're from Gävle, which we kind of are, so we get it. We get it. It's a good joke. Very nice.
Okay, so let's get my starting skills. Already a good one. Heavy laser applications is one of the skills that we actually really, really want. It's a very important one because this...
Lasers are fast, accurate, and leave no bloody mess. Just the delicious smell of fried bacon. Mark McNash, CEO, Lays Tech.
Now, this is really good. Firstly, heavy laser applications is a tier 2 tech, so we've actually saved a lot of research. And the reason we want it is we want two things. This laser strike is just very good, and it inflicts burning. Very important. The incinerator module is what we're going to be putting on our laser units, on our horsemen, in fact, or horsewomen, sorry. And it also inflicts burning. So this is a critical mod. We definitely want this. The other one we got is Verdant Awakening. Now, Verdant Awakening gives us our starting, what do I call it? I'm trying to say doctrines. And it also gives us progressive cultivation, 10 food for every Arcadian sector, the green stuff. It also gives us ecological construction, which is 10 production for every forest. So what that means is even though our food is slightly lower, and it really is only slightly, but I think we're losing 3 food because of the decadent thing, we can easily compensate. You can see we're surrounded. All of this here is Arcadian, so we can turn on that perk, or we can turn on the other perk because this and this is a forest sector. I mean, we're in a forest sector. So now, sort of basic Age of Wonders Planetfall 101. First thing you want to do when you start, the first thing I always want to do, is to have a look what is around you. Near you, you should have 2 things of interest. You should have a group of friends, the NPC faction, or enemies in this case, who have got the growth, and you should have a couple of nodes which provide resources. So those resources are really going to determine how you expand, how you really configure your first city. Now, we are starting next to a research node in Arcadian. You can see that the Arcadian is very good for producing food. And the research node obviously is going to give us research. And is there another node, or have we been ripped off? There might be another node up in here. I think it's up in this place. We'll send our scouts to have a look. Is there another node here? Very occasionally, the RMG will be really mean and just not give you a node for city. It's given us a war monument, which is +2 happiness, which is okay. And also, it's very good for energy. I mentioned earlier we're going to be using a lot of operations, so chopping an energy sector up here could be useful. So next decision is what we're going to do. I'll grab this production pickup whilst we're going through. Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, my God, the Tyrant's Gauntlet. Okay. The Tyrant's Gauntlet is one of the most powerful hero laser weapons in the game.
So the RNG is very mean right now. Was that what you said earlier?
This is amazing. Honestly, this thing's nuts. It's a strength 14 melee attack, and it gives us a laser cannon at the same time. I can't actually use it because I'd have to get off my horse. But when we get another hero, they will most definitely be getting that item. It is extremely strong. You know the Pteranodon? The idea is that that's the weaponry that a Pteranodon uses. It's mentally powerful. Anyway, so what are we going to do? So first,
it's rigged. It's actually not.
What's not, sorry?
No, we have in the chat someone said rigged and dev hacks.
This is genuinely totally random. I have no, this is completely by chance. Anyway, so the first thing we're going to be doing is grabbing this sector. And because it's got a research thing, the free thing, we basically want a bit of everything. But the logic essentially goes, we're going to make this a food sector because it's really good for that. We get our research from here. That means we want to start with production. If another thing I might have done is I might have put research here and then grabbed a production sector here. But that's generally how we're going to do it for now. So I want to build here the production thing. When we grow, we're going to capture this and turn it into a food sector. And by clearing this, we get research. Okay, so I'm just going to auto combat this. And because we start with it, we're going to put our incinerator module on Yul here. So you can see we've got that. Our damage has gone up, and now we set people on fire when we hit them. And next turn, when the tech is unlocked, I'll be able to show you why that's. These things are immune to fire.
It's an RNG roller coaster right now.
They are weak to biochemical, and 100% do biochemical damage, so it should be okay. Yeah, okay, wrecked. We went. Okay, and we got the research. Now, research is locked, but it's not wasted. It is actually turned up here when I accept it, so it'll turn up there. But this is also really good. You'll notice the absurd amount of research I just got from clearing that. That is also because we took the Star Union Scholar thing. If we hadn't got that, this would probably have given us, I think, about 50 or 60 research. So that is why Star Union Scholar is so good.
And 150 is about almost a tier 2 tech, right?
Yeah, and as you can see, it's now been banked for us. So the next turn, when our research switches back on, we're going to get that pretty much instantly. And we're going to hit Enter now, so we can talk a little bit about the research. Okay. Is that? Yeah. Okay, so the main thing that you want to be doing in this build is we're very interested in the number of Promethean techs. And the main thing we are interested in biosphere subjugation is this, the thermal targeting relay. This mod will give us 10% accuracy and 10% damage all the time, but most importantly, it's 10% accuracy and 20% damage against people who are burning. Now you'll remember, this mod lets the horsey woman, or anyone else with a laser gun, make people burn. So fairly clearly what we're going to be doing is riding horses up to people, setting them on fire, and then shooting them full of arrows, full of acid. Okay? Other very important things that you'll definitely want on this build is you probably want to take a quick detour through this, biochemical applications. This gives us some mod acidic composite. When we start, Huntresses are our main source of damage. This is by far the most effective mod that you can put on Huntress. But you know, it's hard to stress how good this is. So I'm going to grab that. And because of our research thing, I think we get it automatically. And I think we can immediately choose something else. And we're going to go for tactical protection, since that will lead us towards biosphere subjugation. So it's that. So you can see, yep, we researched that because of the research we already had banked. And then for social, going for this would definitely be a good idea. But since we've already got it, frontier facilities lets us build our happiness facilities and colonizers, and then area surveillance so that we can get operation effectiveness, which lets us cost more operations. So we're going to need that too.
Love operational effectiveness.
It is extremely useful.
See how there was no aquatic deployment.
Yeah, I know. It's the worst whenever I go on stream and say things, and then the devs just prove me wrong. It's horrific.
To be honest, in the future, we're actually thinking of making aquatic gameplay a bit more accessible. Right now, it's quite expensive to get onto the water and want to make it cheaper, but right now, aquatic deployment it's not useful. In the future, it would be. I mean, going up here and grabbing this water sector would be very economically powerful, but right now, this is by far the choice that we want. Okay, and the other interesting thing to talk about before we fast forward a little bit is these guys. These are the NPCs. If I was actually thinking, I would have sent this guy to talk to them and asked, can we do a quest for you? Okay, now there are a number of different NPC factions you can start next to, and the growth is actually quite a useful one. Sure, they want us to kill some people for some reason. But the main reason that the growth are useful for the Amazons is the mods that they sell us. Poison glands. Is this the one I mean? Yeah. So melee attacks can poison people. Am I wrong? They're not useful for us at all. Yes, they are. Okay, right. This one's okay. Sprouting Infection is a mod which you can use to units which have a biochemical ability. It is absurd. It's great. So what happens is you shoot people, right? They get infected with horrible little plant maggot thingies that live inside them. Then when you kill a unit that's been infected, they turn into a plant under your control. It's extremely useful. They also have regenerative spores, which you can use. You can put on the plants to heal and stuff like that. So generally, if you meet the plants, it's a good idea to make friends with them. Mm-hmm. However, plants are weak to thermal. So in this build, if you just want to declare war on the plants, that's good too, because you will massacre them very, very quickly. Other people that are very useful for you would be the spaces. The spaces have laser mods and biochemical mods which are useful for you. And the autonoms. The autonoms have an early game mining laser, which is good, because that means your laser attacks will actually strip armor. The Paragon and the... Who am I missing? And Scyfish are not at all useful for this build. So, you know, you might want to make friends with them, do a couple of quests, get enough influence to capture a settlement, but they're not really good in the long run. They don't particularly synergize well with either Amazons or Promethean. Okay, now...
Do we want to get into our first prep tactical combat at this point?
I think we do, because we're running out of time. And
yes.
Really... If I was to show you a combat like from in situ here, then we would you'd pretty much just see a normal Amazon fight, and you know, I'm sure you guys have seen that a lot.
I mean, and the intention here, right, is that this is not necessarily the final version of this build. This is just you starting out. How do these things you've talked about actually integrate with each other in a tactical combat?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is sort of explain what I'm trying to do, and sort of roughly explain the sort of decision-making process.
We finally have the proper hat on Yul Brynner.
Exactly. Yes. I'd just like to point out This is what you should be looking at, ready to strike down Santa. Okay, now, this is actually from a genuine game, believe it or not. I actually was playing, I was testing out the build, making sure that it would work, and that I wasn't going to tell you guys a bunch of nonsense. And it was around about turn 12, and I got to a point where I'd unlocked all of the mods that I needed, but I couldn't afford to put them on everyone, so I decided to try and capture this Cosmite node. The army I'm fighting is quite powerful, but with some clever play, I think we can beat them. Well, I know we can beat them.
Also, we're in a special environment here, right? If we look in the top left,
yes.
What does that actually do?
There is a spore cloud. There is actually a hazard in this hex called a spore cloud, which means everybody in here, every turn, they have a chance to get poisoned. And I believe everyone has -2 biochemical weakness. Now, this is actually in my favor because I'm using biochemical attacks and they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So my attacks will do more damage. So hopefully that should go things in my favor. I do have some mods switched on. My huntresses are using the armor melting mod. My leader is using the incineration mod, and I've got another lancer ready to go, and she's also got a purification field so she can heal herself if she needs to.
Cool.
I'm at the point where I'd start putting on the extra mods to actually do damage to the stuff that's burning, but I haven't got that far yet. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is advancing forwards a little bit. Now, with her, our leader, she's on the horse, she's a melee unit, but she's got a hero skill from being Promethean called Plasma Surge. It's a teleport, which I need 3 action points for. I teleport forward, explode, and set everything on fire. However, I do need to not get staggered. So I think if I stand here, hopefully the enemy won't realize the terrible, terrible threat that I represent.
Because, and correct me if I'm wrong here, staggering is, it will knock you out of Overwatch, but it will also cost you 1 AP on that unit's next turn, right?
That's correct. Yeah. I will lose one of the 3 action points, which is these 3 little blobs here. If I have lost an action point, I can't use certain abilities, and in this case, I use Plasma Surge, which would be a pain in the butt. Next thing I want to do, this is my Biomancer, the Amazon support unit. Typically, you want to move her forwards just far enough to be able to clip one of the enemies, and you want to pick the enemy who's either the most dangerous or the most numerous. And in this case, this is most certainly this thing. This is a tier 3 artillery assault platform nightmare thingy, and if I'm not careful, it will absolutely ruin my day because there are 2 of them. But I have a plan, so hopefully it should be okay. Next thing I want to do, I bring this guy forward. So this, when you're fighting the Paragon, this is actually the biggest threat, the Fanatic. The Fanatic can overcharge. Did he overcharge this guy? No. The Fanatic can overcharge people. And when he does that, they become much, much more powerful. It is vital that you kill this person as soon as possible. If you do not, he will literally power up the entire army you're fighting against, and you will get ruined. So he is our primary target. So because he's there, we're going to move our cavalry person here. Trying to stay in cover and hide.
While you're setting up a little bit for this fight here, we have a question in the chat. Could you please explain a bit more about environment in battle, etc.? Is there cover and advantage in standing on high points?
Okay, there is an advantage to standing in high points. I'm not sure if these guys are in high ground. I'm not sure if are they? High ground? Yep, they're on higher ground. So I'm actually fighting up a hill, which for the more tactically minded of you out there will obviously know that's even. So because they're on high ground, they have a hit advantage. Also cover, as you can see as I'm moving around here, these symbols in front of me indicate I'm moving into cover. Basically, I'm harder to hit. The Amazons have a special ability, or at least Huntresses do, visual acuity. Their bows have quite short range, but they get 1 extra range as long as they're in cover. So I'm going to try and be sticking to cover.
I should have read up on that, because I totally missed that bit.
So basically, if you're in cover, you're harder to hit, and if you're on high ground, you have an easier time to hit things.
Exactly. Now, I'm keeping everyone spread out because both of these units have missile attacks. If I put 2 units close together, there's a chance they'll get hit by the missile. But I think the range means that they can only hit 1 unit with the missile here. So I'm hoping they won't be able to take a step forward and nuke me, because that would be quite problematic. Okay, so let's see what they want to do.
Let's see how horrible. Oh, a bunch of them got poisoned.
Okay, so a bunch of them got poisoned. Okay, now you can see the Thematic is falling for my trap. He's overcharged this guy. Now watch, I think he's going to attack next. Yeah. He missed. Don't ask me why, but he did. He did not miss. He blew me up, he staggered me, he destroyed the scenery I was stood in front of. And now these guys are moving forwards, and everything is normal. Everything's sort of going relatively kind of according to plan. Okay, now, what am I going to do? Now, I need to do this quite quickly, because this is actually only the warm-up fight. The main goal is essentially kill this guy. Now, there's actually a glitch in this map, even though the scenery is destroyed. Apparently, when you destroy the scenery, I literally only found this out 10 minutes ago, the scenery is still there, even though it's destroyed. So you're just going to have to imagine that these two hexes are broken. Anyway, can we shoot this guy? Nope, because he stood behind those things. We need to get over to this guy and kill him. I'm going to run through... Am I going to run through Overwatch? I think I have... No, I think if you stand here, can you shoot him? Okay, so she's going to shoot at him. Now, I'm doing a lot of damage here because I'm flanking and his biochemical weakness has been reduced because of the sexual effect. He's now dead and he was no longer able to overcharge anyone. He can literally overcharge anybody at once a turn. And this guy's now overcharged. You'll notice he's now doing arc damage, he's doing more damage, and his attacks can stun. So therefore, if he hits me, he can paralyze me. Whereas compared to this guy, not overdriven, less damage, no stun. Now, another interesting thing about overcharge is that overcharge can be interrupted if you stagger them. And this laser strike does massive impact, and it will stagger him. Boom. So now he's not overcharged anymore, so he's also less of a threat. Okay, so what we're going to do. This person didn't get hit, so we can actually... Okay, it's not worth it. I think the better thing to do is to rush this guy and take him out. We can't actually jump into a location, which is good for us. We're just going to hit him, charge him. Hit him a couple of times, so he's burning now, take damage over time, which is good. And this character can finish it off. Yeah.
Enemy eliminated.
Nice.
Very
Now,
nice.
I'm not sure. Now, the horseman, can the horseman? The horseman can't really get into range to do anything, so it's still time to basically advance slowly. We shouldn't really use this cover because it is kind of not really there because of glitch. But there isn't anywhere else to stand.
I mean, no. If this happened in my game at home, I would use it. I'm not above using it. Like if there's anyone in stream chat right now that's like, no, I would not use this glitch.
Yeah. Well,
I am too pure.
Forwards. I wouldn't normally sprint, but because I'm actually I'm sort of safe. So yeah, you can sprint. I don't have a defense mode, and because I sprinted, I moved further than I really can. But yeah, whatever. Do what they do. Okay, they're still getting poisoned because this place is a horrible pit. And half of my guys are poisoned as well, by the way. It's not just them. Don't throw a grenade. Awesome. Okay.
And that's the stagger we didn't want, and we can see that one of the
action
I
can't
points
use the plasma surge
gone.
to teleport forwards because this dickhead dropped a grenade at me. Okay, now this Cosmite node that we're on, when he blew up the scenery actually does this weird explosion effect. And
Be at peace.
Oh no.
okay,
They
apparently
were
I'm
fine.
not.
They were fine.
Yeah,
They were fine.
Anyway, so when the stuff explodes, it actually does damage, which is pretty cool. It's a special effect. I think it applies dimensional instability. Okay, so we're going to round up to him and stab him. Okay, now he's got action points, but because I'm next to him and I'm in Overwatch mode, he should be no real threat. As long as I'm in Overwatch, he can't act without me stabbing him in the head. So we can kind of forget about that guy for now. Run this guy forwards, and we're going to take a huge risk. And we're going to try and put this thing to sleep. Although it looks like a robot, it's actually a cyborg, so it's vulnerable to the sleep attack.
Oh. Nope, just got slowed.
Dope.
Too bad.
Okay, fine. Okay,
so-
charge this guy.
Nonos73 in the chat says grenades are one of the favorite AI weapons in my playthroughs.
Yeah, that's because the AI 1 loves staggering you and 2 loves AoE damage. Grenades are extremely useful. I mean, the grenades are blowing up my cover. They're reducing my ability to use my own abilities. They're a real pain in the butt. Another advantage, by the way, that the Huntresses have is that they shoot through cover. They ignore line of sight. Although they have less range than assault rifles and stuff like that, the ability to ignore cover is very, very powerful. The main disadvantage that they have is their range is quite low. They've got no Overwatch. And what you guys don't shoot a missile. I don't normally lose units when I do this fight. It is quite a difficult fight. These are tier 3 units I'm fighting against. You can see why I wanted to put that guy to sleep now.
Yeah, but I mean that's also something we talked about before the stream, where like if RNG is kind to you, it might go better early, and if it's not, I mean, you'll win, but you might take some damage.
Yeah. But you know, it's still good. It's still good. I mean, we're still going to win. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
a little bit more messy than I would have liked. So right, so this guy, what we're going to do? So the battle's pretty much won now. Get
Yeah.
out.
Enemy
Okay.
eliminated.
Oh, he's out of charge range. Can we hit you with that?
Enemy
There we
eliminated.
go.
Oh,
Nice.
I forgot about the animation. Oh, I'm so sorry that you guys missed that.
Victory is
When you
ours.
take that shot, she actually stands on the back of the horse and throws the spear. It's amazingly badass, and I fast forwarded through it. I'm very sorry.